Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gideon Stuff Adventures. In this video, we're going to be climbing a mountain in southern New Mexico called Nogal Peak. This was an amazing adventure. I absolutely love this. This was just a day hike adventure, but it was a lot of fun and totally worth it. Before we get to the actual adventure itself though, I want to talk a little bit about why I make these videos because I've been asked about it. And these videos are kind of different for the channel. They're a little bit of a departure from my regular content, and to be honest, they don't perform as well as my regular content. They don't perform very well at all, and they take a lot of work. It's a lot of editing. I like to include a lot of educational content. So why do I make these videos? Because I want to. That's a simple answer. Because I want to, because I enjoy it. I love making these videos. They're a lot of fun for me to not only go out and have the adventure, but to then edit the videos into kind of an educational story, as it were. I do kind of want to make these videos a little more EDC focused. So for example, I'm always using my gear on these adventures, right? Whether I'm camping or hiking and stuff, I've always got my gear with me. And in all these videos, I try to do like a pocket check or a gear overview at some point in the video. I'm going to try in the future to kind of work in a little more EDC content for some of you that are more here for the EDC stuff. But primarily, they're just adventure videos. They're kind of made to show you guys some good scenery and kind of take you guys on hike with me. I got a comment on an adventure video a few weeks back from James Culp, longtime viewer of the channel, awesome guy. And this comment right here really meant a lot to me because I like sharing what I think is interesting with you guys, whether it's EDC stuff, whether it's just random geology things I share with you guys every once in a while. As you know, all of my videos, every single video I make, I try and put a little bit of focus on some outdoor scenery. That light and I are gonna fight. I hate that light. Whether it's review cutting, where I try and go out somewhere where there's a good backdrop for you guys to enjoy, or if it's like one of my discussion videos, I typically put an intro 15 to 20 seconds long of, you know, a sweeping landscape shot to show you guys some beautiful country. That's important to me. I want to share that with you guys, and I think it kind of makes my channel unique. And so I always get questions about, hey, where did you film this? Hey, where'd you record this? Where's this at? And so these videos are kind of a way for you guys to say, oh, in his, you know, XYZ video where he showed this scene in the beginning, it came from this adventure. And that's important to me. Another thing too is I just freaking love New Mexico. It's an amazing state. It's a beautiful state. A lot of people don't realize how diverse New Mexico is in terms of its scenery, and I really like sharing that with people. So those are kind of the main reasons why I do what I do. Okay, enough preamble. Let's get on to the adventure. Quick note, just to give you guys an idea about how long it takes me to make these videos, or maybe how lazy I am. I don't know what you take away from this, but I climbed Nogal Peak back in September. It's November when I'm getting around to filming this, and that's because I've been busy with life stuff, but also because I edited another adventure video kind of before I got to this one that took a while. I've got a couple more adventure videos to edit together, so you know, they take me a while. These are not easy videos to make, but they're worth it. Let's talk about Nogal Peak. On paper, Nogal Peak doesn't seem like anything special. It rises to an elevation of 9,959 feet, with a prominence of 1,197 feet, making it the 231st tallest peak in New Mexico and the 144th most prominent. To the south lies Sierra Blanca, which is New Mexico's most prominent mountain, completely dwarfing Nogal Peak with its majesty. But once you see Nogal Peak, it's just kind of begging to be climbed. It has a very distinctive triangular shape, and it stands kind of by itself, alone and proud. It's located in Lincoln County, right above the town of Nogal, New Mexico. Ruidoso lies a couple of miles to the south, and Carrizoso is just a few miles to the northwest. The peak is readily accessible by forest roads. One forest road goes about 3/4 of the way up the mountain to a saddle. You can park there and start walking the Crest Trail. This trail is 1.35 miles long, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is pretty steep and rocky. Even though this is definitely a day hike adventure, I mean, it's not going to take you forever to do this, you want to make sure that you're in good shape because it can be a little bit strenuous, especially depending on what time of the year you decide to do it. All in all, you're going to climb 1,165 vertical feet, so just kind of brace yourself. But the views are absolutely stunning. It's beautiful out here, and it's completely worth the effort. Alrighty, let's set some context. Nogal Peak is located in the Lincoln Highlands, and it's part of the White Mountain Wilderness. And the White Mountain Wilderness is named for Sierra Blanca, which is the highest point in the Lincoln Highlands. Now, Sierra Blanca is a very, very important mountain to the region, both culturally, geographically, and geologically. We'll talk more about it as we go through this video, and there's going to be a video coming in the future all about Sierra Blanca, and that one's going to be really, really cool. So stay tuned for that. Most of the lithologies in the White Mountain Wilderness, and all of the lithologies that we saw at Nogal Peak, are igneous rocks, and they belong to the Sierra Blanca volcanic complex. As you might expect, this is a complex assemblage of various rocks, mostly igneous. We've got a mix of volcanic rocks and intrusive rocks. We've got breccias, we've got andesites and tuffs, a little bit of everything going on. These rocks are Eocene to Oligocene in age, spanning a time between about 38 million years ago and 27 million years ago. During this time, this part of North America was undergoing some tectonic extension, which was thinning the crust and allowing hot magma to work its way upward and eventually erupt to the surface. This was of course accompanied by a lot of hot fluids moving through these rocks, and these hot fluids were depositing metallic ores like gold and silver, copper, iron, etc., etc., etc. And millions of years later, a lot of these ore bodies were mined. Just looking at the distinct triangular shape of Nogal Peak, you might be inclined to guess that it's a dormant volcano. You would be wrong. Nogal Peak is actually made up of layered lava flows, with some intrusive rocks cutting their way through here and there. The triangular shape is due to erosion. Alrighty, vocabulary test time. I've been throwing around a couple of different words. Volcanic, igneous, intrusive, extrusive. What the heck does this mean? Well, igneous rocks are a type of rock. No shit, Gideon. There's three main kinds of rocks: sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and igneous rocks. Igneous rocks come in two types. Igneous rocks are formed from molten magma, but the way the rocks cool is what differentiates the two types. If a rock cools above ground quickly, we call it volcanic or extrusive. If it forms slowly underground, we call it intrusive or plutonic. Typically, intrusive rocks have large interlocking crystals. That's because underground, the rock cools a lot slower. It loses heat a lot slower, and so this gives crystals time to grow and develop. Volcanic rocks or extrusive rocks cool almost instantly when they hit the atmosphere, and that means that the crystals don't have a long time to grow, so typically they're very small and sometimes even microscopic. And so these rocks are normally what we call aphanetic, which means you can't really see crystals with the naked eye, or the crystals you can see are kind of in a matrix and separated from other crystals. These include rocks that are made up of a lot of ash, for example. At Nogal Peak, I saw both intrusive and extrusive rocks, and typically the intrusive rocks were kind of cross-cutting the extrusive ones. And that means that at one point the extrusive rocks were sitting there and something happened where a different type of magma came up through a crack or crevice in them and then cooled right there. We call this a cross-cutting relationship. It's very helpful for geologists. If you have a bunch of rocks that are layered like this, you know the oldest ones are at the bottom and the youngest ones are at the top. Well, what if there's another rock that just cuts through, a dike or a sill or a stock? Well, we know that that rock has to be younger than all the units it's cutting through. So if we have units 1, 2, and 3, and we have a sill that cuts through units 1 and 2, but not 3, we know, it's probably younger than Units 1 and 2, but older than Unit 3. Unit 3 was in place later, before this, or after this one had already cooled. As I climbed Nogal Peak, I was noticing that we were crossing through several different rock units. And of course, these are all these layered flows that not only change in thickness and structure, but also composition. The steep slopes getting close to the top are made out of a volcanic andesite, which is a intermediate composition lava. But my favorite rocks that we saw out there were the intrusive Rialto stock, which is kind of this lovely light purple color, and the multitude of volcanic breccia that we saw. Volcanic breccia looks like a big jumble of a bunch of different rocks. And that's exactly what it is. Volcanic breccias are formed by pyroclastic flows or lahar flows. A lahar flow is essentially a volcanic mudslide. It occurs when a volcano goes boom, and then mud and snow, well, I guess dirt and snow on the outside kind of melt and mix with the volcanic ash, and it creates these big landslides. What you end up with is a rock that's made of ash and volcanic glass, but also contains big boulders and cobbles of pre-existing rocks. They're very, very cool to look at and a lot of fun to identify. She's a pretty one. All right, well today we're gonna be climbing Nogal Peak, and there's two ways you can do this. You can start kind of lower down at the Nogal trailhead. There's a bunch of people there, so we went ahead and came up about 1.5 miles or so to the crest trailhead. And from here it's gonna be 1.3 miles. We're gonna gain about 1,200 feet. I don't think it's gonna be too bad. I hear it's pretty steep up there, but should be fun. It's gorgeous. The drive up here was absolutely amazing on County Road 15 and then Forest Road 180 and then Forest Road 400. Absolutely gorgeous. Some safety guides. Does look like there's some clouds rolling in today, so we'll keep an eye on that. But looks like it's gonna be a pretty well-maintained trail all the way.
No, that hurts. Leave me alone.
We're like 20 feet in, and we were already harassing the wildlife. It's a pretty horny toad. I like the orange on him. While Janelle harasses Herbert, let's go ahead and talk about why he's colored the way he is. Horny toads and actually a bunch of small reptiles and small mammals too adapt to match their environment because it protects them from predators. And so this guy, he's got lots of shades of tan and orange on him, very similar to all these rocks. And these are all volcanic rocks. In fact, everything we're going to be seeing today is going to be volcanic. And there's going to be various lithologies related to the Sierra Blanca volcanic system. And that's Sierra Blanca out there. It's been like 5 minutes. I'm going to stop catching lizards for you. So we're doing this hike in well actually, it's getting close to the late September right now. And it's beautiful out here. It's warm, but there's a really cool breeze. This is how September is supposed to feel. It reminds me a lot of home, and oh my goodness. That is gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. Oh yeah. That's where we're trying to get to. And that there is Sierra Blanca, which is the most prominent mountain in New Mexico and also the highest, most southern point of the United States. And hopefully, we're gonna be able to climb that in a couple of days. It is an ammo box. I think it's an emergency survival pack for someone. There's a book. Oh, yep. People can leave notes in here. Enjoy this cache. Oh, it's a geocache. It's placed here in honor of Judge John J. Halverson. May he forever rest in peace. Enjoy this cache, leave something, and take something. Please water the tree. Stevenson Halverson is also blessed in this wilderness and mist. That is really sweet. Right? That way, a little more to Roswell. No, those are little bugs. Yep. Probably not gonna run into any rattlesnakes today.
The baby! Oh, the baby! He's so cute!
He's so cute and now he's got trauma. A little rocky right here, huh? Here's the top. And the site. I love the scrub oak is changing colors. Starting to feel like fall.
Then you might feel out of step out that, so don't take pictures of them, send them to me. Not really, just kidding.
I have never seen so many ladybugs.
What the fuck? Ew. Probably because it's that time of battle.
Holy cow.
It's kind of cooler. On the rock. There's a bunch of ladybugs. Really? Wow.
Holy cow.
Wow. How nice. Ladybugs. I haven't even seen a ladybug here. Because they don't want to see you. Just kidding. Yeah, alright, nice. I don't know, I was mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you're mean. What else is new? Okay. I'll talk to you later.
I feel like we're filming these ladybugs in order to hold this film in case you ever need to blackmail them. Diddy bugs.
Not me.
Well, here's the top. Bunch of ladybug orgies going on here, but we're going to ignore that for now. Oh, it's beautiful. So again, Sierra Blanca. Way out there on the horizon, those are the San Andres Mountains, and that one right there is Salinas Peak. That's the highest point. Out this way, that white smudge, that's White Sands. There's a ladybug crawling down my shirt. Ew. Out this way, these are the Oscura Mountains. So even though we're up here in the high mountains, the Chihuahuan Desert is just right down in there. Right there's the town of Querozoso. And actually, you can also see the Malpais from up here. Kind of hard to make out right now because of all the cloud shadows. That's Querozoso Mountain. So right now we're looking towards the north. And way, way out there are the Sandias. That's out by Albuquerque, so that's a couple hundred miles away. Nice little rock cairn up here. Down there, little village of Nogal. You can see right through there. It's the Great Plains, way, way out there. Doso this way. Looking south now. One of my favorite things about this Nogal Peak area is it's kind of a transition from the Chihuahuan Desert to the highlands. You are decidedly not in the desert anymore. You can feel it in the air. But you're not quite into the deep forest like you would be if you go just a couple miles to the south, right? There's a lot of tall pine trees and stuff, but you know, kind of the higher you get, the more you get into just grasses and scrub oak. And every once in a while, there's a cacti, there's a yucca. It's kind of a blend of high mountain plants and low valley desert plants. And it's very, very cool. The animal life is something else that stood out to me. I saw more horny toads on that single peak than I've seen most places, to be quite honest with you. We ran into dozens of horny toads. Kind of surprising, we saw some deer and stuff, but I was shocked how many horny toads we saw. We also saw a couple of snakes, not rattlesnakes, racer snakes. And so it was kind of interesting that typically you don't see that many reptiles when you're getting up into these higher peaks. For me, growing up in northern New Mexico, the house I grew up in is located at an elevation of 8,600 something feet. So almost, 3/4 of the height of the top of Nogal Peak. And then I spent a lot of my time in the mountains, and I'm in the Rockies up there. And so I was spending a lot of times at those peaks, elevations of 10,000 to 11,000, 12,000 feet. But still, very rarely would we ever run into reptiles out in the big mountains, unless it was water snakes. And so it's a unique feel. It's definitely a unique feel. Now, for those of you interested, Nogal is Spanish for walnut. And I'm not sure if this is the case everywhere, but in northern New Mexico, where I'm from, Nogal is sometimes just used interchangeably with nut. So sometimes, I've heard people just use Nogal as just kind of slang for any nut. Not super widespread, but you'd hear it every once in a while, enough to be memorable. And so I'm not sure if I haven't heard it in southern New Mexico used that way, and I've been living here for 5-6 years, but up in northern New Mexico, it's definitely a thing. These things here are my favorite hiking lunch because you can pack them in a pack really easily, you can pack them out really easily, and you can get them at Dollar Tree. They're awesome. We're off the steepest part now. All right, we're back to the truck. I think that was a lot of fun. It was not too long. It took us about 3.5 hours. I mean, minus all the time we spent at the top and messing around. So probably 3 hours. And you said your thing mapped us out at 3.45 miles. Okay. Beautiful scenery. Pretty nice little day hike. It is very steep towards the end of the trail. Pretty dang steep, pretty rocky, but the rest of it is absolutely beautiful, and even that last part is not terrible. So, 2 thumbs up from me.
Gas station macaroni, pepper jack.
And gas station pepper jack macaroni.
$2.99.
I'm having a Gatorade after my hike, but macaroni, whatever. Potato, potato. I absolutely loved this adventure. Climbing Nogal Peak was an amazing experience. It's a very easy peak to bag, right? It's definitely just a day trip, day hike type of thing, you know, fairly easy up and down. But not, I guess not too easy. I mean, it feels like a workout. It feels like you've earned something at the end of the day. But the views are just phenomenal. It's so gorgeous. I love the Lincoln Highlands. When most people think of southern New Mexico, they think of the desert, right? And I love the Chihuahuan Desert. I absolutely love it. Some of my favorite places on earth are in the Chihuahuan Desert. But the Lincoln Highlands offer a really nice contrast. It's a different flavor. And the contrast between the desert and the highlands is stark and alarming, kind of. And it's surreal driving from the desert into these coniferous forests, right? I particularly enjoy the drive from Tularosa to Carrizoso on US 54. You're driving in the desert. You're in the Chihuahuan Desert. And if you're driving north, off to your left, to the west, are the San Andres Mountains and White Sands Missile Range. And they're looming and blue, tall, majestic, but dangerous looking. And it's desert, it's dry, it's fearsome in a way. You look off to your right, to the east, and there's Sierra Blanca, rising high above the valley, about 8,000 feet higher than the valley. And oftentimes the top of it is covered in snow. You can see the lush green trees, and it's kind of surreal. And you get to Carrizoso, and you turn right, like you're going towards Capitan. And then you turn right again a little later on. You drive up to Nogal, and all of a sudden you're in the mountains. The desert is gone. There's no sign of it anymore. Occasionally there's a yucca or a cactus somewhere, but you're in the forest. You feel it. The air changes. All of a sudden it's a little bit wetter. Every time you suck in a breath, it's crisp, not dry like the desert. And it's just shocking that 20 minutes of driving will take you from the Chihuahuan Desert to the highlands. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. And I love that so much. That's one of my favorite things about New Mexico, is how suddenly the environment can change on you, how diverse the state is. It's magical. It's the land of enchantment. Oh, for sure. And I think I'm going to leave you guys there today. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to my channel members right here. I appreciate everything they do for the channel. If you want to become a channel member, you can join down below. As for everyone else, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.